And a happy Friday night to all of you out there. How are you guys doing? It's January 8th. We're a week and one day, I guess, into the craziness that is the year 2021. And it's been a week. I hope you guys are all getting through it. And I guess I'd actually be remiss to say, I believe that the clips there from that Bond film are actually from The World's Not Enough, which was directed by the late Michael Apted, who actually passed away today. What a weird thing to think about. But yeah, that is a Michael Apted film, and our thoughts are with his family right now. But I hope you guys are getting through this week, and I'm excited because we're about to watch one of my favorite films of the last decade. This was a film that the more I watch it, I have fallen in love with more and more and more, and I just can't get enough of it. This is a movie that I'm going to be talking about a lot in the idea that I think Michael Fassbender was robbed for Best Actor at the Oscars. I think this movie deserved much more respect and accolades than it got. But I'm excited. I can't wait to watch this movie, and I'm joined by the one and only Maxwell Haddad. Hello, my friend. How are you tonight? Oh, you're muted. You're muted. There we go.
Satisfactory.
Yeah, that's good. You know, I think that the term "you're muted" is like it's going to become like an actual lexicon sort of thing post 2020. Like, hey, you're muted. That's a thing.
It's annoying, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. Well, my friend, it's been a week, but I'm excited to be here with you tonight. We got a good movie on our hands, and we got some cool stuff coming up. So what do we got going on?
Yeah, all right. We're not doing anything tomorrow, despite what we may have initially said, so our apologies on that front. Sometimes scheduling just gets the best of us. Sunday night, we'll be back for the unwind. I have no idea what we're going to talk about. It's going to be a very relaxed, unwindy, unwinda
Perfect.
thing. It's going to be fun for sure.
Curse of Michael Myers revisit. Love it. Buffett. I love it.
Buffy. Then Monday, we're doing a watch along that is an executive producer Patreon pick by Brandon Buckingham, the superb film Moneyball. And part of why we decided to do Steve Jobs tonight is we thought it'd be fun to flank the weekend by films written by the one and only Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah.
So that'll be a blast. Now, next Wednesday, we give our sincere apologies for not doing Suddenly Soundtracks this past week. Obviously, Wednesday was unprecedented, painful, scary day. And we all sort of just got together and said we didn't think it was right choice to do this. And because the whole point of this Suddenly Soundtracks is to celebrate songs that we're passionate about, I just don't think we had the capacity to do it. So this Wednesday, Suddenly Soundtracks will be doing our favorite songs of all time with the same crew who was going to do it last time. So myself, PJ, Jen Kemp, Tim Franco, host Chris Clark, and special guest Max Bartos. You'll know Max if you watch the Sing Street Suddenly Soundtracks. He is a young actor who starred off-Broadway in Sing Street, and I'm really excited to hear his favorite songs, both because he's a theatrical professional and also because I think it'll be really cool to get a younger perspective. Max is 18 if he's a day, and we're all in our 30s or 20 or late 20s, so that'll be really, really fun. Next Friday begins a weekend/week of celebration of the birth of the one and only PJ Campbell, the very reason why we're here. And so in order to celebrate that, we are doing sort of a double feature, but it's a Friday, Monday double feature. So Friday night, we'll be watching The Shining 1 week from tonight, and then the following Monday, we'll be watching the sequel, Dr. Sleep. PJ said he wanted to watch Dr. Sleep for his birthday. We're going to do the director's cut, to be clear. It'll be the longest single film we've done a watch-along of. And when we announced this last month, people were like, oh, do I have to see The Shining? I haven't seen The Shining. So we're like, you know what? We'll do The Shining here. It only makes sense to do those two together. Next week begins our brand new water cooler chat. Saturday the 16th, we'll be starting a WandaVision-themed water cooler chat, where every week we're going to break down the previous days. Brand new episode of WandaVision. I'm incredibly excited for the show. I can't wait to see how surreal and bizarre and weird it gets, and I can't wait to break it all down. Hopefully it'll be fun. Hopefully it'll have a lot to talk about. One final note, of course, we're launching a new show on January 26th called Book Nook. I know some of you have already gotten your copy of the book. If you haven't and you'd like to, please do so. You can participate in the chat when Dwayne and myself break down The Runes of Gorland by John Flanagan in great detail. And as I mentioned, we do have Patreons. Check it out. See if there's a tier that's right for you. We're going to be having box bloopers coming to our $5 and up patrons in the next few days. $10 and up patrons get an exclusive monthly audio commentary. Last month was Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. This month is going to be The Nice Guys. $25 members get to pick a choice for Suddenly Soundtracks, and $50 members get to choose a watch along of their choosing. And in some cases get to join us for the watch along, because if you didn't already know, when we do Moneyball on Monday, Brandon Buckingham will be joining us right here on the PJ Campbell Network for our watch along. But before we get started with the watch along, we always have to give a huge thank you to our patrons. So let's roll the patron clip, and then we can watch Danny Boyle's Moneyball. Steve Jobs, my bad.
Well, it was close. Roll the tape.
I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling, I'm happy again. I'm laughing at clouds so dark up above. The sun's in my heart and I'm ready for love. Let the stormy clouds chase everyone from the place. Come on with the rain, I've a smile on my face. I walk down the lane with a happy refrain, just singing in the rain. And singing in the rain.
That brings me so much incredible joy every time we watch it now, and I have to agree with Mike K. That song is in fact a bop. And Tim, what do I have against Cats? It's mere existence, and that is the beginning and the end of our conversation about Cats. Though I'll say I think that it is going to happen. I think the conversations have progressed enough behind the scenes that I think there is going to end up being a drunk Cats watch along, much to mine and Brandy's dismay in the end, because I know that Brandy also does not care for Cats. But a drunk watch along, what the hell? Why not? But that's not what we're doing tonight. No, sir. Tonight we are watching Steve Jobs, directed by Danny Boyle, written by Aaron Sorkin, starring Michael Fassbender, and a whole slew of really great cast members. I'm excited. How about you, my friend?
I love this movie. I saw it early at the New York Film Festival the year it came out and was impressed. I completely agree that Michael Fassbender should have won the Oscar. I think Leo should have won for Wolf of Wall Street, and then Fassbender should have won for this. And I do think Leo is good in The Revenant. I think some of the backlash to it is a little silly. But to me, this is one of the great leading male performances of recent memory. And he has the writing to match it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I'll say this. I think that similarly, Seth Rogen gives an incredible performance, one that a lot of people have never really seen from him. I think Jeff Daniels also. I mean, look, the truth is everyone's great in this movie.
Kate Winslet.
And Kate, that's what I was going to say. And Kate Winslet deserved Best Supporting Actress nomination.
And we'll get into it when we watch it, but I think the smartest choice this movie makes is its structure.
Yeah, I agree completely. It's so interesting.
Find biopics. Some are very good, but a lot of the time they feel they need to show every single aspect of a person's life, and they skip around so much throughout a person's history that they end up being somewhat superficial and don't get to really hone in on what was special about that person. And I think the structure of this, and another one that comes to mind is Selma, is by really focusing on a specific event. You can learn all you need to learn by a person through the historical context of specific moments. And yeah, this movie does have some flashbacks and you get to meet different characters in his life, but it's not one of those movies where there's 150 short scenes strung together throughout 2 hours where you're sort of just like on the greatest hits of someone's life. It's very focused.
Lincoln did something similar to the Selma point also, because it's very focused on a very specific time in his presidency. And I appreciate stuff like that. And I think that this is one of the most unique biopics that you're ever going to see if you've never seen it. And I see like James has been talking about it in the chat. Teresa's saying this is her first time watch, which is actually why she's not watching on here, because she wants to be able to watch it while we're also talking so she doesn't have to focus on it, which is understandable because Maxwell and I, knowing us, we're going to be talking a lot about it. I actually saw this with Mike Messina, who's in the chat right now. Stephen White says that he's never seen it. Mike said this movie's a masterpiece, but it's been a minute since I've revisited it. So I think we're about to have a real great time here, man. Like, there's a lot to break down, a lot to talk about. So if you're ready, I'm going to count us in.
I am ready.
All right, guys, I'm going to count down from 5. As soon as I say go, you're going to hit play, and we're all going to watch Steve Jobs together. And Maxwell and I are going to talk with you guys, commentate about the movie, and just give our general thoughts. This is going to be a good time. We all need this a little bit this week, so let's do this in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. And yeah, I do agree that it was a shame that it actually did not do very well, Tim, because I thought it deserved to do much better than it actually ended up doing. I mean, clear with how much I love the movie. Like, it's in my top 15 films of all time is how much I like this movie.
With that movie, 2001, you're projecting us into the 21st century. I brought along my son, Jonathan, who in the year 2001...
I kind of love this opening right here where they're showing footage from this entire, I guess it would be like a documentary about computers and like what computers are going to be doing. It's so interesting to me. And you realize just how alien this all kind of was when this started. Thank you, Reefism. Yeah, Halloween this week. My first Fassbender film was, in fact, probably 300, actually. The first where I really noticed him, though, and he like really stood out, obviously, was First Class for me. So, what about you, Maxwell? What was your first Fassbender film?
Hunger.
Okay.
Nice. Or, you know what? No, it was probably Inglourious Bastards.
You know what? Actually, that might be...
Well, Hunger came out in 2008. I can't remember if I saw it that year or the next year. And then Inglourious Bastards 09. So it's either Hunger or Inglourious Bastards. Hunger is great if you haven't seen it. Steve McQueen directed it.
Oh. That movie is quite a thing.
I mean, you don't get much better than having Kate Winslet, Michael Fassbender.
Fuck you.
Oh my God, why can't I remember his name?
I know exactly who you're talking about. I can pull it up.
Michael Stuhlbarg.
Yep. Who, by the way, like had one of the greatest runs in recent memory as far as character actors goes.
He is one of the best character actors, culminating in his stunning performance in Call Me by Your Name.
Yeah. I mean, like from Fargo, from this, Doctor Strange,
Men in
like
Black 3.
Men in Black 3, which he's excellent in, like legitimately excellent in. Dude is incredibly talented. Our time code, Tim, is going to be 1:15. Oh wait, it's hard to do on Netflix sometimes. Can someone in the chat give Tim their time code, please? I'm sorry. It's harder to do on Netflix because it goes backwards instead of forward.
Daniel Pemberton, who's one of my favorite unsung composers, wrote a great, like, very tech-heavy score for this.
Yes. And this score is amazing, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it gives this
It is.
movie life. It kind of reminds me of what we've been seeing, obviously. This is very Social Network influenced, obviously, because, you know, it was written again by Aaron Sorkin. But, like, even down to the score of it, it feels very similar. And it's got a very Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross feel, but with, like, a tech-heavy focus.
Although I do think, for better or worse, Danny Boyle is a more earnest filmmaker than
I agree.
Fincher. I think this film is beautifully directed. He does lean in a little more on the emotion of it, but I think Steve Jobs was probably a more emotionally driven person than Zuckerberg.
Yeah. The other Andy. Why? Yeah, you're standing right here. Why would? Again, the dialogue in this is excellent.
Fantastic.
I can't imagine how many times, especially if this was a Fincher film, trying to make sure that you got this right, because Fincher is notorious for how many takes he likes to do, and these guys are.
And it's sort of a shame that this script wasn't even nominated for the Oscar. I think at this point, a few years after Social Network, people just took Sorkin's writing for granted.
Well, as we've seen, as film Twitter has turned on Aaron Sorkin and decided he can't
I haven't
write.
turned on him. I'm still quite a big fan. I wasn't overwhelmed by Trial of Chicago 7. I thought it was fine.
Sure. Well, but you're also you still like liking things. That's the difference, my friend.
I also think maybe he's a better writer than he is director.
I agree with that. Although I thought he was a better director with Trial than he was with Molly's Game.
Although I like Molly's Game more than Trial.
Yeah. I think Molly's Game is great, though. So,
it's a fun movie, yeah.
Yeah. God, Fassbender's so good. And again, it's the performance and the dialogue is already so intoxicating, and you can't help but feel enveloped and wrapped into it.
Yeah, I cannot say enough good things about Fassbender in this movie.
Yeah.
Kate Winslet, too, really. The two of them are just a powerhouse pair. They were both nominated.
Yeah, 100%. And guys, I did post it at the top. I always forget to say, if you feel the need, we do have a Streamlabs account that you can donate to. The link is at the top and down below in the chat. But, you know. Mike, I do agree. Aaron was definitely the perfect person to write this type of film about jobs. I mean, again, when you look and see what he did with Social Network, there's a reason why he wanted to do this one, too. Yeah, and that's another thing, Tim, I was going to start talking about when we get to it. Like, I always liked that they shot it 3 separate ways so that every part of the movie felt different for a very specific part of the time in life that he's in. And I think it makes a very dynamic feel. This whole thing about Time Magazine is so nuts.
With a Nada Macintosh on the cover.
Yeah. A bushel of apples with my face on them. I'll say this. They definitely lean in on the legend of Steve Jobs, the asshole, in this early part of the movie.
I would go with the term irascible genius.
Sure, I'm good with that one too.
Not to say he's not an asshole, because he is.
That's all I could think of was like, man, he is so good. Yeah, Mike, I agree, man. I think that we're gonna cover that a lot as we keep watching. He should have won the Oscar this year. Like, there's no doubt in my mind he deserved an Oscar for this movie. Just no doubt in my mind he should have won. Yeah, it is a good term.
Nothing you can do with it.
I don't know, Marvin. I think Leo's better in a lot of his other performances, strictly speaking. And the truth is, I also don't think he's the best thing in The Revenant. I just think Fassbender does more in this movie than I just. You don't have to be the best actor to eat bison liver.
Also, Kate is doing a very subtle Polish accent here, but it's there and it's really well done because the person she's playing, Joanna Hoffman, was born in Poland.
Yeah, I'm glad you're telling me this now with a half hour until the launch.
Much like The Social Network, and I think a lot of Sorkin's work, I find it sort of bitingly hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I think this movie has a really wicked sense of humor underneath. This is, I think, Fassbender's best performance, personally. I mean, Hunger's up there, too, but, like...
I think he's pretty remarkable in Shame as well.
Shame is good.
Not
Not an easy watch, but a good movie.
No.
Oh, this score is so good.
I would say this is his best performance in a movie I'm happy to rewatch.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it, actually.
And frankly, I also think, especially in First Class, he's remarkable as Magneto.
He's easily, in my opinion, the best part about the 4 X-Men prequels. Like, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I think there's a lot of good in those movies overall, even though I don't necessarily love the third and the fourth one in that franchise, but Fassbender is far and away just the best. Yeah, and that's exactly it, Mike. I'm not saying that I don't think Leo wasn't good in the movie. I think he's great in the movie. But I think he was better in other movies that he should have won for. Therefore, I also think that Fassbender should have won for this. Essentially,
I think he should have won for Wolf of Wall Street, but
yeah,
it is what it is. The performances indoors and art awards are fleeting.
Yeah, I agree.
At the end of the day,
we're still talking about this movie,
and now we have Catherine Waterston playing the baby mama.
Yeah, if you will. I'll say this too. One of the things that this was kind of as she was coming up too, because Catherine Waterston was not a huge actress. But I always enjoyed when she'd pop up in things.
Oh,
look who it is!
Look at this.
Hi, Jen.
Hi.
Yes, I like her name, by the way.
Me
you
too.
See the name Oscar for Fassbender is 100% what we've been talking about since this started.
Because that's what you have to talk about with this movie. So, what timestamp for you guys?
Give me a second. It's hard to break down for me. Are you watching it also on Netflix, Maxwell?
On Netflix, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
There's 150:41 left.
Yeah.
150:39 left. 150:38 left. That's how Netflix shows the time.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Netflix. You're the best.
All right. Say the number again. I'm almost there.
There's 150:25 left. 150:24. 23.
Good enough. All right.
He just walked outside and is saying hi to
Catherine Waterston.
Okay. Yeah. I forgot that was her in this.
She's so good in this
to be
too.
unrecognizable with her, like to look at her this and then saying Fantastic Beasts or
Inherent Vice.
Well, in this
Inherent Vice. She looks different. And then in Alien Covenant.
Yep.
I love that. You told me you like how I talked, and that's my favorite thing that anyone has ever said to me.
He's Sam Waterston's daughter, which is really cool.
I didn't know that. I'm learning something new tonight.
Like, I'm not surprised.
Hollywood is nothing if not filled with nepotism.
No doubt.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing because Catherine is terrific.
Indeed. Also, we would not have John David Washington right now if it wasn't for that.
Or Billy Lord.
Yeah, that's true too.
Fantastic.
Or Dakota Johnson. A lot of talented people.
I love Dakota Johnson. She was so good in Bad Times at the El Royale.
Yeah.
And I was really happy that people started actually being like, oh, she can act. She's not just like the 50 Shades person. I was like, yeah, no shit. Like, she's actually talented.
Yeah, she's really good.
Yeah, and those movies are terrible, but she does an actual performance. Like, it's like a big joke and everything, but she's trying, damn it.
Yeah. There's only so much that we can do, unfortunately, with that
Twilight fan fiction.
Yeah, Matt, I remember when you were like, what should I watch? And I kept bothering you to watch Steve Jobs, and you finally did it. Like, it's so excellent.
The music here really makes it a tough moment.
Yeah, like
This
the
whole
dialogue
sequence.
is fantastic, but the music keeps you so tense throughout the entire thing.
Yeah. There's one part in the movie that I think has some of the best music I've ever heard put on film, and the way it plays out with what's happening in the film, just like, it's so good, and we'll talk about it when we get to it, but I think it's also the best scene in the movie by a lot. I was using an algorithm. He is a computer in real life. That's the thing. His ego cannot get out of the way about the Time magazine thing, and just like the more people would buy it if I was on the cover. God damn, man! Like, come on. Just Matt, when are we going to do a Dick Tracy and Indiana Jones double feature? Never say never. We did Raiders and Rocketeers, so I wouldn't be against doing
Dick
like
Tracy
Temple
and
Run.
Dick Tracy and Rocketeer
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
I want to do The Shadow also eventually.
Yes.
Oh, that'd be
That
good.
is peak Sorkin, a training facility for paid assassins. I agree.
Yeah. It's so funny because Newsroom was on right around the time that this was coming out, and like Newsroom is full of that too. All the dialogue in the Newsroom sounds just like that, and it makes me happy.
I love the newsroom. Like every episode, someone has like a speech that essentially goes, "We're gonna do the damn news." Like,
Yes.
we're taking a stand. Like, it's great.
My
Every
one
episode.
like overarching criticism of Sorkin as a writer, and please keep in mind I love his work for the most part, is he tends to have a lot of his characters, even within the own same piece, have the same voice,
Yes.
Yeah.
which is
There
his
is no
voice.
distinct-
So, like
yeah.
for Steve Jobs, it works that that's how Steve sounds. But when other characters start sounding a little bit like that too, it's sort of like, okay, you just wanted to spread the quips around. Like on The West Wing, it made sense when you had people like Josh Lyman and Toby who
Yeah.
were all sort of
Similar
like that.
background. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Patty? Appreciate that.
Hey, Patty, enjoy the Runes of Gorland. I saw you got a copy today.
Buck, you're a good person. And now the chat's starting to talk about The Shadow. It's like I can't be mad. I can't be mad. I did this. Oh my god, the score
Camera
right here.
movement here too.
Yeah. And the whole thing where with Andy, just the look on his face. Because Andy starts to be like, wait, he might not be lying.
Stuhlbarg, man.
He's fantastic.
Again,
He is.
He has never given a poor performance.
oh,
I
never.
agree.
And
Well, we
he
were talking.
always uplifts whoever's around him. He's very rarely the lead, but always a highlight.
We were talking about it before you
Gibbs.
came on. In
And-
Men in Black 3, how good he
He
is.
was
That
so
speech,
good in
that
that.
speech he gives in
Yes.
Call Me by Your Name
Oh,
Yeah.
so
broke me
good.
down into tears.
A shirt?
Yeah.
Like, what, he didn't think about this before?
Newsroom's on HBO Max.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's only 3 seasons, so it's a very easy watch. It's only
Oh,
26
it's quick.
episodes.
Yeah.
Because I just rewatched it.
And it's got my guy Johnny Gallagher in it.
Yep. And Olivia Munn is fantastic in it. Like, people give her shit as an actress. She's great in that movie.
She's great in that show.
Or show.
And little baby Dev Patel, who they do not give enough to do.
That right there.
So good. And the
And
music swell.
Yeah, the music swell as the doors close. All right, Matt. It was good to see you, buddy. Come back anytime.
Danny Boyle is a damn fine filmmaker, and there's part of me that still laments that we're never going to get to see what his Bond would have looked like.
I'm starting to worry that we're not even going to see what Bond 25 actually looks like at this point.
I mean, it exists. It's been made, so we will see it.
Out there.
It's just a matter of when and where.
It's all of this has just been a big ploy to be like, we made a trailer and that's it. Could you imagine?
Got enough to do a trailer.
I really love everything about this, that it's all just like a build around like launch events, and it's so fascinating to me.
Such a perfectly clever structure for this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some of the details are fudged about who was there and what events happened.
Oh yeah.
I'll
But
allow
that
it.
doesn't bother me because
Yeah.
it's
It's a dramatization.
It's creative shorthand, yeah.
Yeah, like, people get weird when it comes to dramatizations and things like that, but for me, when I look at stuff like this, I'm okay with you fudging the facts as long as you're not throwing stuff out the window and, like, purposely, like, changing events. But, like, things like Glory fudge a lot of the history while still being true to history. Tombstone, similarly, same writer. That's why I'm comparing the two. But Tombstone changes some of the facts to, like, make things more linear in certain ways and change certain characters, but for the most part, it's true to the events that happened. I don't know.
And then there's The Greatest Showman.
Hey, well, the music is good.
There's a line, and there are certain choices that are ill-advised, but I don't have a blanket rule against altering things. It's not a documentary. It is a fictionalization of real events.
God. There he is!
And
Seth
the great
Rogen.
Sarah Snook, who is brilliant on Succession.
I still need to watch that.
Yes, you do.
I remember when Rogen was cast in this, and everyone was like, are you kidding me? Seth Rogen's going to be in this movie? And then you saw the movie, and it was like, I can't think of anyone else.
And let me just say, I've met Steve Wozniak. I've spent some time with him. Seth is perfect.
Yeah. The shirt, they managed to get the shirt. I promise one day StreamYard is not going to hate me.
One of my other favorite choices in this movie is so it's broken down into 3 distinct segments, and each segment is filmed using a different type of film stock. So this whole sequence is shot on 16 millimeter film, which is why it has that super grainy texture to it. The middle sequence is shot on 35 millimeter, and then the final sequence was shot on digital, which is a pretty audacious choice to make for a movie. But I think it really pays dividends here, because it also sort of mirrors the advancement of tech that we go through in each segment.
Yeah. Each part really mirrors the time frame in a very interesting way, I think. Oh, she made a drawing, guys.
Oh, remember the days of MS Paint?
Yeah. I remember playing SimCity on a Mac long, long ago. And it was like one of the first times I remember playing a game on a computer. outside of like Solitaire. Their performances are so good because you can feel the actual tension between them where you're ready for one of them to pull a knife on the other one. Like everything about it, you're just waiting for something to explode.
Marvin says Seth is an overlooked actor. He's always solid. I decided not to use the word overrated just for you, PJ.
What up, Marvin? That's what I like to see. I appreciate that. Joanna is so very much the Jiminy Cricket in this entire situation of being his conscience.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the entire movie, that's how I feel about it, and I kind of love that because she's like, can you just not be a jerk for like
trying
5
to
minutes?
ground him in the best way, but failing ever so much.
Yeah. That line. God. He could not miss the point harder. He could not miss the point harder. I say that we re-release Steve Jobs this year and nominate him for Best Actor again.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way, but I will.
Or we make a Steve
Jobs.
You
get in the elevator with all the copies of the magazines.
Yeah.
And then that musical note.
And the look on his face of just like...
Just pull the dagger out and stab it back in, why don't you?
She just does so much for him, too, man. This shot. This kind of silence, but you can kind of hear the murmured fervor of all the people.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing in the vending machine that won't kill you. Maybe not wrong. Only Fassbender could pull off that kind of bow tie. Like, I don't even know if Matt Smith could pull off that kind of bow tie. That's all I'm saying. Brandon Buckingham, why do you hate the wave? Do you just hate the wave's existence, or...
I'm not a fan of the wave either, especially during professional sports games.
Well, that's fine. I'm just saying.
I find it distracting at best and disrespectful at worst.
I need to watch that movie still, American Pickle. 2 Steve, 2 Jobs. I'm glad we're in the Fast and the Furious territory with the Steve Jobs sequel now. There was a Black Cauldron game, Reefism.
What?
Apparently. There was a Black Cauldron floppy disk game. Yeah, this sequence is freaking awesome. I love it so much. I love this flashback, too.
The hair on both of them is just...
fabulous.
Magnificent.
Like, yeah.
Yes.
Remarkable, in fact.
Like, Fassbender should go long hair all the time. This looks great. Like, he always looks great, but he looks great.
They should have 100% had him do long-haired Magneto.
Oh, my God.
I'm just saying.
The 70s. They could have.
They could have. Although, who's not to say that he doesn't get to play the character again, considering the fact that Marvel's like, we'll bring back every actor who's played a villain in our Spider-Man movies. So, X-Men, who knows? The wave is pointless. I will discuss on Monday. Perfect, Buck. I can't wait.
I will say this.
That's fair.
Noah Syndergaard is an ardent adversary of the wave.
I like that.
Ardent.
This score right here is so good. It's kind of playful, too.
It kind of makes me want to, like...
Yeah. That line, humans have flaws. I'm not going to build a computer with yours. And I think that is so good.
Great line. Of course, I see this shot in the garage, and I always think of the Spaceship Earth at Epcot, where you see computer people working in a garage upon the creation of the computer.
I don't know what that means, but I'll go with you on it.
Disney World.
A ball.
I knew that. I knew that much. I just mean I've never. The last time I was there, I was 5.
Teresa definitely knows what I'm talking about.
That was 20. That's going to be almost 26 years ago, like in a week and a half. So sorry.
I mean, arguably to this day, Apple operates
Fuck
on a
you.
closed
All
system
right.
architecture. That's sort of their whole thing.
Jeez.
He's such a perfectionist on literally everything. I can't imagine dealing with that if he's your boss. Name my other choices, please. God, I love Michael Stuhlbarg so much.
I have a vision. It needs to say hello. I need to put it in my pocket.
Yeah. Like, imagine that's your whole thing. It needs to say hello, and it needs to go in my pocket because I am that much of a control freak.
But, like, he's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong.
No, he makes a very good point.
Yeah. But this is also one of those things where it's like, you didn't think you should have thought about this before you got here?
Yesterday, even? Like, yeah.
This is Adam Sandler and The Wedding Singer. This would have been a magnificent news if you had told me yesterday. Yeah, that's a great point, Mike. He said that Fassbender in the flashback has a Christian Bale look, which is interesting considering he was originally up for the role. That's, yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Him and DiCaprio were both the ones who Universal wanted, and they both passed. Or one of them was at Sony before it ended up at Universal, because there's a lot that happened behind the scenes before it moved. And then it ended up here, and they got Danny Boyle, and they were like, and we want Michael Fassbender, and the Universal just kind of let him do what they wanted.
Like, I'm sure either one of them would have done a good job, but I'm just glad it went to Fassbender because the man deserves more hit movies, okay? Yeah, like, he's 100%. Been in a lot of shit, unfortunately.
He's got the worst agent.
Yeah.
And here we have the great
Jeff Daniels, the MVP. But I agree with Jen completely. I think Fassbender deserves to be in, like, so many great movies.
I mean, for what it's worth, he is a lead role in Taika Waititi's next film.
Which I'm excited about.
And I know not everyone loves the films, but I think he is great in Prometheus and especially Alien Covenant.
Yes, 100%.
He's
David's
the only one
awesome.
that keeps that afloat, honestly. Yeah.
So... he hasn't done that much. I mean, X-Men, the Snowman was bad, and his Assassin's Creed was kind of bad, but then there was also The West, which was good.
Was it
12 Years a Slave, where he got nominated? Haywire.
Centurion was the one he did with the guy. Is it David? Who did Hellboy?
David Harbour?
No, the director.
Oh, Neil Marshall.
Neil Marshall. He did that one with him.
And he plays Carl Jung in A Dangerous Method, which is a Cronenberg movie. So he's done some good stuff.
Yeah, but when it comes to, like, major release, blockbuster temples, he's always, like, just sad. It's sad. I want to see him more, essentially.
Me too.
So I need him to get a, like, franchise under his belt that is clear, good across the board. Like X-Men, clearly him and McAvoy were the ones that were keeping that afloat, but not
they single-handedly kept that franchise alive.
Yeah.
This entire ad is just
What
bonkers.
franchise would you want him to lead in?
We paid skinheads. The skinheads. Jeff Daniels' whole like, wait, we had actual skinheads. They're on my payroll is one of my favorite reactions to maybe anything. And then we're just gonna keep that to ourselves.
I mean, back around the time First Class came out, I thought he would have been an amazing James Bond.
Yeah, I wanted him to be
It's
Bond.
too far gone now, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree.
It's the same with Idris. Like, I think Idris would be a great Bond, but like, if you're gonna reboot the franchise after Craig, you can't go the same age or older than Craig. Like,
I don't know if there's any
I'm sure he'll end up in a Marvel project along the way.
like known characters that immediately come to mind. I just think he could play whatever they give him.
Yeah, like I would love to see him in like almost the. I know we already got Kenneth Branagh going with Hercule Poirot, but like some kind of period piece because he can pull off that look so well and everything. So I don't know. I just want to see him in everything. It's a problem.
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a problem.
It is when he's not in everything.
I just had the weirdest idea of him playing Freddy Krueger, and now I
That line hits hard for me.
Which one?
Why do people who are adopted feel like they were rejected instead of selected?
Yeah,
It's a good point.
it's. I would hug you, but there's distance between us right now. It's a good line. Reefism, arachnophobia is the freaking best. I was really happy.
It finds very unique ways to get into the psychology of Steve in a way that still feels organic to the hyper focus on the launch event.
Yeah.
Oh, that could be fun. Him as the Shadow.
Ooh, that's not bad actually. I like that a lot. Give it and get Sam Raimi to direct it. Let him make the movie he wanted to make in the 90s before he did Darkman. Because, like, the only reason Darkman exists is because Universal told him he couldn't make an R-rated Shadow movie, so...
I'm trying to think of other ideas.
It's weird because, like, it would really depend on what you're looking at. There's so many franchises out there, but... I don't know, what would you give him?
I mean, he's already in 2 major franchises in Alien and X-Men, so, I mean, I would like to see him play David in a trilogy capper.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I don't know if there was any others outside of Leo and Bale, Marvin. I think those were the only 2 that were, like, actively talked about in public.
I don't think Leo would have been the right choice. I could have
agree.
seen Bale do. I think Bale would have done a great job.
I think Bale would have been the better option of the 2, just because like Leo has done so many biopics that have a similar vibe to him that it's like it would just feel like white
He was
noise.
probably already too old, but the guy who I always sort of envisioned as Steve Jobs was David Strathairn.
Oh, I love him. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be a good pick. Has he done anything in a while? I feel like I haven't seen him in a while.
He's in Nomadland.
Oh, okay. Haven't
Can
seen
we just talk about this brilliant exposition dump here going into the second event where they're using actual clips from like news reports and stuff? Oh, it's so good. And what a perfect song too. The Black Cube.
Black Cube sounds like an Xbox.
Yep.
Like going back to the franchise, we're pitching franchises now for Fassbender. I'm a big fan of the Avery Cates sci-fi book series that probably nobody is familiar with, but I was originally given it because someone was like, oh, they're talking about movie rights for this, so you should probably read it. And it's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek Blade Runner kind of situation.
Ooh.
And so it's like
Interesting.
action-y, but also a lot heavy sci-fi, and there's a lot of emotion to it. So I'd pitch that for him because there's like 5 books, maybe even more now. So
I like that.
trying to help him
I
out.
mean, I guess maybe I wouldn't mind seeing him in, like, if we're talking like far bent random things that no one else here is probably going to know, but the Omri Wars comics based on the Coheed and Cambria music, I think he'd make an excellent Coheed if they ever did an
Honestly,
adaptation.
I could see him as Jesus Christ.
He would make an excellent
Plenty
Jesus
of time,
Christ,
you get, like
actually.
2 hours.
If they were to do like a big budget Dresden movie,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he'd be a great Dresden.
I think he'd be good for that.
Bradley Cooper was my choice for a long time, but I think Fassbender could do it too. They're suing me, but still. Trying to
It's nice
convince
they
them.
came.
Yeah, it's nice that they came, even though they're clearly suing you. That's not bad, having Fassbender in Dune 2. I wouldn't bet money that we're gonna get a Dune 2, but it would be nice if we got one.
I'm so curious about how well Dune's gonna go over.
Me too. Like, I just don't know.
feel like there's gonna be all these people that love the original Dune film and the books.
Yep.
And then there's gonna be this weird up and coming fandom because you have Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet. So
and
like
Oscar
it's gonna
Isaac.
be this weird mix of like Gen Z and like old school fans together, and it's gonna be really interesting.
It's gonna be so. Oh, what the? Jesus, Michael. Michael Messina, do not make me kick you out of the chat.
As the dog, or is he either voicing the dog? We're gonna have Airbud talk now, or is he gonna be the ain't no nothing in the rule book says dog can't play basketball?
That one. Because I need to hear him say that word. Bring me the face of Steve Wozniak. It's one of my favorite lines in the whole movie.
I think just any opportunity you could play like a spy.
Yeah,
He'd just be a great spy.
a spy, like a detective.
And not the snowman, because he tried
Not
there,
the
but
snowman. Like I understand, like on paper that made a lot of sense because like there's a lot of books. It could be great, but it was just a mess of a film, so it's unfortunate.
They didn't even finish shooting the goddamn movie. Like, I don't understand that.
I don't know. Like if they could just take the book and the cast and move it over to like Fincher or something, it's like, can we just try again? Because it probably could work in the hands of anyone else.
I agree.
If they actually gave it the money.
She's so much like her dad in that moment. If I had another ruler, I'd measure this ruler. She's so awesome. Their relationship is just fantastic. He's just, again, he's a computer. He doesn't know human emotion. He doesn't understand. Because she's a child and she wants your attention. It is. Like,
Oh,
they get taller.
yeah. She's very polite, but unlike her father, who's just like, "Can you please stop talking and can we get this over with?"
No, I mean, we'll get there, Andres, when we get closer, but I don't think it's a cop-out at all.
Yeah.
I was saying earlier, I think both because of the involvement of Danny Boyle and who Steve Jobs was, having a slightly more emotional bent to it makes sense.
I agree. Mike said because of what I said earlier, he would be cool to see him in a horror franchise. I mean, we kind of did, which is why I liked seeing him in Prometheus and Alien Covenant. I would just like to see him do more. Like, I I think that horror movies get a weird rap where they shouldn't get like real actors, but a good horror
getting
movie,
better.
yeah, they're getting better.
Yeah.
Actually, put him in something that James Wan's directing. I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
Like, let James Wan and Michael Fassbender work together.
Yeah, I think between A24 and just Toni Collette alone, horror has gotten a lot more prestige as of late, which is great,
Yeah.
as it should be.
I just want people to actually like horror movies as much as I like horror movies. Signed, the dude wearing that Curse of Michael Myers shirt right now, because that's, you know. I love this whole scene. It's so interesting seeing Steve, like, just barreling into this and just being like, this, I tried to help you and you didn't listen, which is obviously ironic considering all the stuff he just said to his daughter at the same time about her not listening. He's so excited about the watch. All right, later, Tim. Thanks for coming by, bud. The flashing. Once people get used to it. And then, of course, you know, now people actually wear Apple Watches like so frequently.
Yeah, but the Apple Watches don't have what appear to be little containers of goo.
Yeah.
Oh no, it just makes me laugh, and it's like, oh yeah. God, he's so good in this. Rogan needs to be able to do more dramatic work.
That film he did, Take This Waltz, is a little more on the dramatic side.
I haven't seen American Pickle yet either. I've heard that's a little bit on the dramatic side too. Oh, that line, what do you do? Oh, the score right here too. It's so good. And her sitting outside the door listening, where she's like, she knows what's happening. Yeah, Mike, I agree. I think he's completely suave, but also like a chaotic energy, which is why the character works so well. Oh, God, tell me something else I don't know. All right, I will be right back.
What is that? Why are we looking at that,
So
PJ? I don't want to look at that.
Interesting choice.
I don't want to look at that.
I don't want to look at it. Get out.
If it crashes, it crashes. Yeah, it's interesting, James. In like these two Aaron Sorkin written movies, you have two like Apatow comedians giving brilliant dramatic performances.
Sorkin understands it. It takes like to be a comedian, you have to have a really strong wit, so you can come across in one of these
Yep.
kind of dialogue films.
What's up, Shook?
Like at least he's picking up on like the cues, but he just doesn't understand why.
He sort of uses Joanna as like his sounding board,
Yeah,
or like his human emotion interpreter.
calibrate.
Yeah. Is he washing his feet in the toilet?
Yeah, I assume this is a real to life thing. Love to hear the explanation for that, but okay.
So you didn't like my little angry cinnamon toast crunch
No.
dude?
Yeah,
So
no.
apparently, soaking his feet in toilet water was a way he would relieve stress earlier on in his life at Apple and stuff. So it's something he really did.
It just
that
seems
should?
so out
What
of
up,
character
should?
considering he's so like precise and everything in all of his decision making.
Oh, look at that. Sugar's so nice.
Aw, thank you.
Aw.
Again, this is so Sorkin. That's how I'm gonna learn that you're dead. God, he's so good. Okay.
Okay.
Their relationship is just so good, clearly. Where'd you two go? Were you being nice? Come on.
Oh
now.
yeah.
They do a pretty good job too of aging all the characters just slightly enough where it's like time has certainly
Yeah.
passed.
Mm-hmm. Hair
But
choices.
it's realistic,
makeup.
it's not too much.
Yeah. Like it could have been so easy to go too far in any direction and they don't, which I really appreciate. I just love that Joel is always around. I think at that point you should understand that like whatever she's saying is Steve on the record.
It's just a great shot.
It really is.
So good.
Off the record completely. It's not finished. He's always been good at understanding nuance is my favorite. You don't have an operating system.
That look he gives.
Yeah.
Like his voice cracks. What do you mean?
Yeah. But then Steve is so calm and just like, this is what we're doing. It's no big deal. Isn't it the coolest black suit cube you've ever seen?
I think to a good extent, yes. They definitely had a strained relationship. Definitely went back and forth over who was owed credit for what.
Yeah, and Mike, I agree. The dialogue is just next level because it's Sorkin, and I would love to see.
That's
him
why I'm
do
having a
literally
hard
anything.
time like commentating because I just want to hear all the
I know that's
quips.
the thing.
It's okay. You guys got me. I'm sorry. What a weird movie to be like, I want to watch it and talk about it, but also I
Yeah.
just want to watch the movie.
Oh yeah.
How many options do you want to give? 2. Buy it or don't.
Absolutely.
This score with like almost angelic chanting in the back is just excellent.
Fantastic burn. So good.
Something funny from Macworld.
This music.
I know. Yeah,
It's interesting how even
Watch
to
and
this
Talk
day,
is the new Walk and Talk. Absolutely, Mike.
obviously Steve is passed on. Apple still holds the biggest, most
Yeah,
presentations of its new tech than any other company.
agreed.
And that was definitely something Steve was foundational in.
Well, I actually think that it also rubbed off on Disney a little bit, considering how close he was to Disney for so long, because
Yeah.
D23 and their presentations feel like Apple presentations.
Yeah, they're definitely using his playbook.
Yeah. To think there was a time that Disney and Apple being like a thing could have
I
happened.
mean,
is,
Steve Jobs owned
know.
Pixar.
I know.
Yeah.
But like the idea of Apple owning Disney or vice versa at one
Who
point.
writes better dialogue, Tarantino or Sorkin?
Sorkin.
Ooh, Sorkin.
Like Tarantino, he has very specific conversations that it feels like he just wants to talk about things. Like he's
Yeah.
like, I have this weird little kitschy thing that I want to talk about, so I'll write it in randomly to a scene. Whereas Sorkin is like, I'm gonna work through problems that speak to most people, but in like the wittiest way possible. So everyone in a Sorkin film is a genius, but
Yeah.
it works.
100%. It's it's like Tarantino and Kevin Smith are very similar because they definitely want to work through pop culture type dialogue and things like that. That's not what Sorkin's interested in. He wants to go through the human psyche through dialogue. This
They're
conversation
both,
is so good.
very stylized uses of dialogue. Not sure.
It's not a really old song unless I'm a really old guy. They're she's just so good. You're committing a crime. Yeah, that sounds like American history, actually. Skipping years and centuries. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud?
Like, I swear, through like 1st to 8th grade, every history class got caught up. I don't know if it's just a New England thing, but we got caught up in the American Revolution for about half the year.
No,
And
it's
then
not just you.
Took off to the rest of the timeline. So I don't know.
Growing up in Northern California, the other thing they like to focus on a lot was the gold rush, because that was like
American
right
history
where
is
it
taught
was.
in the majority of schools in America is whitewashed and reduces as much of the pain and
Yep.
atrocities that America committed as possible.
Mm-hmm.
That's
There's
why
a
so many.
focus on American individualism and all the great things we've accomplished. And then
Well,
we
it's-
wonder why history keeps repeating itself. It's because people don't properly know what happened, so they can't learn from their mistakes. Anyways, I'll step off my soapbox now. Back to Steve Jobs.
I don't even know how to follow that up anymore.
No lies
Regretful.
detected. That's all.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Oh, that line, not me. And then she hugs him,
Oh,
Well,
and he doesn't know what to do.
what do I do with my hands?
I know. Just like he really was like, I don't know what to do in
Yeah,
this situation.
that caught him completely off guard.
This is happening. That shot is freaking haunting, by the way.
it is. With all the chairs on the tables.
Yeah. And the light as it's coming through, like it's got the dust and stuff in it, so everything looks a little bit hazy.
Now, this is a conundrum.
Oh, is it?
I did not pose the question. I am merely bringing it up in a
It's a
forum in
vessel,
which it
yeah.
can be discussed by my peers and colleagues.
I mean, I think Hadad all day because you throw in a couple of musical references as well. So
It's true.
that's a whole other level that I think the other two are sorely missing.
So this is the scene I was talking about, by the way. This is
Yeah,
my
this
favorite
seems
scene.
incredible.
And the score that goes underneath it. The way that the music heightens as it goes is just... Come here.
Also, I would say in the annals of actors who are best suited to eschew Sorkin dialogue, Jeff Daniels is in the top 5.
100%.
between
Which-
this, The Newsroom, and
To Kill a Mockingbird,
To Kill a Mockingbird.
which I flew to New York just to see for
He
my
just
birthday.
operates on the right page. Him, Bradley Whitford is my other choice for the best. I think Bradley Whitford in The West Wing was just like on point with his dialogue.
Yeah, and Martin Sheen too,
Mm-hmm.
because also with the American President in The West Wing.
And then Jesse Eisenberg just gets it too, which is, for so many reasons I desperately want.
That Social Network too.
2 Social, 2 Network.
Yeah.
The Social Network 2 Electric Boogaloo. The Social Network Reloaded. Whatever you want to call it.
The Social Network rebooted.
The Social Network Step Up to the Streets.
Yes.
It's a good point there, Steve.
This whole thing, man.
The thing with the skinheads in Steve Jobs reminded me a lot of the thing with the chicken in The Social Network.
Yeah, 100%.
Like an insignificant detail that the main character keeps harking on because they're intentionally or otherwise missing what the actual point is. Interesting. Daniel Pemberton was nominated for the Golden Globe for Best Original Score for this, but not the Oscar. He also works with Guy Ritchie a lot, and he scored The Trial of the Chicago 7 this year, and Birds of Prey this year, so he had a good year. He also did Into the Spider-Verse, and that score is dope.
Yeah.
The Social Network v. Steve Jobs, Dawn of Dialogue. Oh, boy. The only thing it would have in common with Batman v. Superman, Dawn of Justice is Jesse Eisenberg.
There's your opening right there. Make it happen.
This scene is very much like the scene in Social Network where Eduardo comes back into the Facebook office.
The fuck you flip-flops? Yeah.
Like, you better lawyer up, asshole. I'm not coming back for half. I'm coming back for everything, which is one of my favorite. I mean, that whole scene, but it has the same like feel to it. So good. This scene is like, to me, the epitome of what good acting and good writing can do for a film. That's all you need.
And editing too, because it's
Yeah, the edit. I mean, the
perfect,
filmmaking is
perfect.
on point. Don't get me wrong. The way the flashbacks are cut in.
Yeah.
And then I love here, the rain is so...
The phone call right here, too. Especially, like, just all of it, the way it's playing it out. My shit's still somewhere in Beijing. Daniel's face in that is
seltzer
just...
or an alcohol?
Just water. Sparkling water, but water nonetheless.
This shot, the way it's the Dutch angle here with the lighting.
Yeah. The lighting too is just
Mhm.
everything about it just works. You make people miserable. What a thing to say to someone.
I mean, he's not wrong.
I know.
Boom.
George Wozniak invented the future. Ugh, that line of dialogue.
The rain just adds a whole other texture to it.
Yeah. But I think the score is just so incredible through this whole sequence.
It's masterfully done.
Yeah, it's like a full 6-minute sequence where I think the music, on top of everything else, just sells everything that's happening.
And there's just Joanna listening to all of it.
Yeah.
A witness.
And
to
again,
all
of course, we know that these conversations did not happen coincidentally immediately before he was about to pitch new products every few years.
with 1 minute
But
to
as
go.
a writing conceit and as an artistic portrait of a man, I find it so brilliantly conceived.
Yep.
I remember there was an interview with Sorkin around the time this came out, and he was like, if this was a play, no one would argue with this.
Yeah.
conceit. I think people need to take more risks in the way they present real life facts on film.
I
Make
agree.
them exciting.
This look that he's giving Daniels, like, you can see the fire in his eyes. Ugh, that line.
Ah.
Just, I'm going to sit center court and watch you do it yourself.
I sort of want to stand up and give that whole sequence a standing ovation.
I know.
Just like every aspect of it is so brilliantly composed. It
You
is a
could take-
masterclass in writing, acting, editing, scoring, directing. It's just fuck.
To be honest, you could take that out and just show that part of the movie and it feels like a short film.
It does.
Like 100%. She won. And he's just cool.
Cool. Joanna's the one person, at least in this film, around whom Steve lets his guard down. Just a little bit.
Yeah. I'm still sticking with she's definitely the Jiminy Cricket of this entire
Oh,
sequence.
she's his conscience. I think you had stepped away when I said that. She is his human emotion interpreter.
Yeah. The rattling, oh my god. It's like when you go to a concert and people are just so excited.
It's okay, Mike. I'm having the same problem. Like, I'm so locked
Yeah.
into what's happening that I'm...
Yeah.
Just witnessing greatness. We can't really add
I love
anything
this.
to it.
I love everyone's just like this scene. Everyone's so
And I will
excited.
say, on Monday, I feel similarly about Moneyball, but I've seen that movie at least 25 times, so I'll be okay paying attention a little less. This is probably only the 4th or 5th time I've seen Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
And we watched it together once.
Well,
Before
I
this.
started watching it. You came home a little tipsy and watched the second half with me.
That's true. That's a fair
Because
assessment.
we were at a bar in Brooklyn, and I was like, I've had enough.
New York,
Okay,
baby.
the visual choice
Oh,
here with
so
everything
good.
on the wall. This is very much Danny Boyle to me,
Yes.
Yes.
and I love it.
It had something similar in the first act, too, with the words on the
The
ground.
Bob Dylan lyrics.
Yeah,
I think Danny Boyle is a really underappreciated filmmaker.
I agree. I have never actually seen The Beach. I've heard that it's very interesting.
It's like compulsively watchable, and you honestly can't believe what's happening half of the time.
Okay. I'll have to check
But
it
I think
out.
Trainspotting and really Trainspotting 2 are damn good.
Dude.
Trainspotting 2, I was surprised how much I enjoyed that one.
I like
didn't-
Trainspotting 2 so much.
Yeah, to come back to it after so much
Slumdog is
time.
pretty good.
Yeah.
What's the Shallow Grave?
Shallow
The one-
Grave is great.
Yeah.
And I love 28 Days Later.
Yep.
And I like 127 Hours also.
I'm not a huge. I mean, it's fine. I really like Sunshine too, actually.
Oh yeah,
Sunshine
Sunshine's
is
great.
great.
I want 28 Months Later. God damn it.
Me too.
Yeah.
That movie did Trance was actually pretty cool with James McAvoy,
I never saw
sort
that.
of like an art heist movie.
I think I started seeing it, but it was like it had already started. I was like, I need to see this from the beginning. So
It's definitely one where you need to sort of pay attention because it has a lot of twists and turns.
I like that they cut before they say his name.
yeah.
Ah, San Fran.
Also,
Miss
can
San
we just
Fran.
discuss the like incredible pacing of this movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we've been
Not let
watching
up.
it for 15 minutes and we're
Yeah.
2/3 of the way done.
I love Yesterday, Mike. I'm not gonna lie. I think that movie is just the best. I kind of remember Newton's being a thing.
Nice.
Beat up Martin. And then it hits Martin.
It got
These
the job
montages
done.
are
That's
so
the
well done
message.
too.
Yeah. He sat center court and watched him do it himself.
Ugh.
The fact that he was able to play like this long game where Apple would go and buy next from him is so crazy.
Because of course he's returning to Apple.
And now he looks like the Steve Jobs everyone
The
talks
iconic.
about. Yeah.
Yep.
And we're running out of it. She's so good.
I think Kate Winslet actually may be my choice for like the best actor of her generation. And this is one of her finest performances. It's really underappreciated. I mean, you know, she was Oscar nominated, so not that underappreciated, but still, when people talk about her work, they naturally go to Eternal Sunshine, which she's incredible in,
Yeah.
Revolutionary Road, or even Titanic. But in this, she is so good.
She grounds the movie in a lot of the emotion and feeling that you need to have for it. Say stupid.
Oh, it's not legal at all.
Yeah, no, not even a little bit.
That's actually my least favorite part of the Regal in Union Square. The way each individual auditorium is designed, there's a red exit sign right next to every screen.
Oh,
Drives me
that's
crazy.
so irritating.
That's why I like theaters where the exits are
In the back.
behind you. I agree, Tree. The design of I like always wanted one of the clamshell IMAX.
Me too.
I never had one.
I always wanted one because I always liked the color designs.
I mean,
and stuff.
I'm on an iMac right now. I love my iMac, but those were fucking adorable. If they wanted to make like a retro iMac or retro MacBook laptops, remember the clamshell laptops?
Yep. Those were great. He's got so much of a sense of humor in this now, all of a sudden, like 10 years, and now he's a little quippier and a little more personable.
It's funny because the Steve Jobs we think of being at our age is this Steve Jobs.
Right.
Yeah, I agree, Mike. I'm a huge fan of Sarah Snook, and again, I cannot enough recommend watching Succession. Succession is sort of like Aaron Sorkin and Veep having a baby.
Okay, now you have my...
The best
now
way
you really
to
have me.
describe it. Because it has the similarly biting and sharp dialogue with also the like absurd profanity and hijinks of Veep where shit just goes terribly wrong.
Veep is real good at that.
I miss Veep so much right now.
Me too.
Like, I understand that.
I'm glad it ended. I think it had
Yeah.
7 great seasons. It's never dipped. And yet, even in the intervening years, stuff has happened in the real world that, had I seen it on Veep, I would have said, this is too unrealistic. And yet,
And yet.
I love how matter of fact that is.
Yeah. Mike, PJ, watch Succession Challenge. I promise I'm going to get to it.
Another thing I love,
I really like Predestination, Mike. That's a great
is how in each... Is that the one with Ethan Hawke?
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good movie.
That movie is fucking crazy.
How in each of the 3 sequences, there's also a magazine cover and or article that is a big piece of it.
Yep.
Again,
Catalyst. Yeah.
the structure of this script,
It's perfect.
my God.
Is it Kieran that's in Succession? Because
Yeah.
Steven just said it's his favorite part of that show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've only
Kieran
seen the first
Culkin
episode,
is-
and he was the one that stood out immediately.
Incredibly good. I think the whole ensemble is amazing. I mean, Alan Ruck is screamingly funny. Brian Cox, Jeremy Strong deservedly won the Emmy, but Kieran is great.
Kieran's good in just about everything he's in.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Igby Goes Down, which is basically the best Catcher in the Rye film adaptation we'll ever get.
I think I brought it up before because he came up in a recent watch-along, but he was in Fargo Season 2, and they had built him up to be the big bad, and they kill him right away, and he's so good in that whole first episode.
I don't want to spoil a book that I know you and I are both reading, but it did something similar wherein I thought we were meeting the main character, and then they were dead by the end of the first chapter. I was like,
I was
Okay.
shocked by that. And at one
Unfortunately,
point,
I'm sure some people who know us can use context clues to figure out which book we're talking about, but so far I'm really enjoying it.
I'm blown away by how much I'm enjoying it right now. That shot.
Minor detail there.
Yeah. The shot in his face in that moment. Oh, God. This whole sequence where she's finally snapped at him is brilliant.
I agree. And it's, again, they built it up so well through the other sequences.
Yeah. This line. Just the build up to that moment, man.
Maybe PJ, we should do a watch along of Predestination since a lot of people haven't seen it.
I'd be down. It's a very trippy time travel movie. I like it a lot. It's been a bit since I've seen it. I should have hit you with something heavy a long time ago. Oh, God. Andy right outside the door being like, what am I walking into this time?
Yeah.
That's
Because
a
he's been
common
around-
theme of this movie is
Of people walking in not knowing what to expect off of Steve.
Yep.
100%.
But also sort of hearing conversations they maybe shouldn't.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Speak of the devil's chief engineer. Oh my God. He's so angry about someone actually helping his daughter when he wasn't going to. This whole sequence is so many people clapping back at him after everything else, and I kind of love it.
It's all been building to this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm glad they threw that line in about him stigmatizing people seeing a psychiatrist, by the way.
Mhm.
Since we've come so far to be like, no, it's actually okay to go see a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Mm.
Dipple, come here. Come here. Hi. Come here. That is the wrong direction. Come here. There we go. Good boy. Come here. Come here. Come say hi to people. Hey, come here. You're being weird. Come here. You want a treat? Come here. Come here. Watch your head. Ah.
The way he turns that back on him is kind of very dickish.
Say hi to the internet. Yeah. You're a good boy.
No.
That's too bad.
It's almost chilling the way he says that.
I know.
Like
It
sort of
sounds
am, like,
so villainous.
creeped out. Yeah.
What's up? Him starting to read specs and stuff, and you're like, dude, just actually deal with yourself. Come
It's
on.
like a
now.
mantra for him. He's
Yeah.
just getting in the zone, not wanting to deal with all this humanity stuff that he's not very good at.
I like the little flashes of her when she's a kid, though.
Mm-hmm. The hug.
I know. He looks so old in that shot.
A little makeup and a little
Yeah.
acting can do wonders.
Lighting and
And it's just like he's aged a lot in just that sequence alone
they're sucking the life out of him.
by being human. Joel coming in at
Joel.
the most perfect times. It's so inconvenient to have to ask which Andy is which. Yeah, you like the movie too, don't you? What? Hi. Yeah, we're big friends.
Yeah, I like the way he said that specifically. It was like, I want to scrub this out of my brain. I don't want to have to deal with this pain.
Yep.
I just don't want it anywhere near me. So
Very Eternal Sunshine, if you will.
yeah.
He's not wrong, actually. Have you seen The Imitation Game?
Yes,
Yeah.
I really like that movie too.
I like it
Speaking-
too.
Yeah, it's got a great score.
It does.
Yes, absolutely.
Sharks. 39. The way he says that, it looks exactly like the other 38 sharks to me. So good. Steve is about ready to fucking murder someone. Fuck you. Are you ever spectacularly wrong? No? Okay. Alright, don't say that. Oh god, the dialogue's just so good. Yeah, let Joel watch this happen. Great idea.
Have a
He's-
mimosa and relax.
He's really a Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey type of dog,
Yeah.
if I'm honest.
Action dog.
Who doesn't love Champ? Mike's like, everyone's real dialed in. Yeah, 100%.
Mm.
my God, Rogan.
I mean, Waz has a point.
Yep. The little box.
Also a good point.
Well, and the Newton basically became the iPad in a lot of ways, right? If you think about it. Yeah, Reefism says, do you agree that with Wozniak that Steve should acknowledge them? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I think so.
it's a professional etiquette kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I can understand his reasoning of like, this is
That's a great
like
line.
a
I'm tired of
line.
being Ringo when I know I was John.
Yeah. I think it's the professional and courtesy sort of thing to do.
Yeah.
Like, you
But at the same time, like this is the kind of thinking that made Steve Jobs like
yeah.
become such an icon, which is a little unfortunate.
What was the word that you used for him earlier in the
Irascible genius.
Yes. No.
Because that's at the end of it, is it means everything to them and it costs Steve nothing.
Yeah.
That's really the point.
Ooh.
The way he says that.
Yeah, Rogan's really fantastic in this.
Yes. That dialogue. Rogan really did not get nearly enough love for his performance in this. Like, just... He's so good, man. And just the way that everyone's, like, quietly moving out, and you just... Steve is just...
And it switches to think different. I was like,
yeah.
And then this shot slowly circling around his face. Ugh.
I mean... I like that the movie actually kind of
a
acknowledges
little
that
fourth
that's
wall
exactly...
break.
Yeah.
You can blame Aaron Sorkin for that one, my guy.
But I kind of love it, and it makes me
Yeah.
happy.
Well, you do, because it's the climax of the film.
Yeah.
Reality distortion.
That look on his face of realizing he was wrong in that moment. Oh, man.
It's not honey. Every time he's about to go up on stage and get a speech, it's like, this is your life behind door number 3,
Yep.
John Scully.
I appreciate it, though, you know.
No, I do too.
No, I know. I'm just, like, for us as the viewer, it's an appreciative sort of thing, and it makes me happy. I like that you can see them talking in the reflection. It's just like it's a nice dynamic where he's like, God damn it, I have to be a decent human being now.
Other fascinating thing to me about Steve Jobs is his Syrian heritage, which doesn't get talked about a lot, and I'm also Syrian.
I could see that.
So
I like that you find a little bit of, like, connection with it in a way.
I mean, I'm also an irascible genius. What can I say?
I didn't want to say it, but for Broadway especially, yes.
Mike asks, has it been the same order of people for each launch? I don't think so.
Not really, because Lisa is the big closer here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Lisa
And-
was earlier in other ones.
And
Yeah.
Andy's first in the first one. Do you like it? Since ever.
God.
I know. God, the dialogue. Mediterranean food sounds good right now. The fact that that's his thought process is so heartbreaking.
I don't disagree with that line of
I
thinking,
know.
though.
No, I know. I don't either, but it still sucks. You know what I mean? Like,
My I'm not shy about the fact that I was adopted, and my biological mother found me on the internet 7 years ago, 8 years ago now, and filled out some paperwork and confirmed that it was her. And my initial thought was, what does she want from me?
Yeah.
Not, oh, finally, or just why now and what do you need? So I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, I'm not a billionaire that could be sued and would settle for a lot of money, but
No, definitely not.
I
Yeah.
get the line. I
Even
get
more
it.
so, it makes yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny to hear that because the iPad now has a stylus.
It doesn't have a stylus. It has the Apple Pencil.
Oh god.
Oh my god. He's the only one in this one who didn't outright destroy him.
Mm-hmm.
The casting for Lisa across the board is so good because like you can see she looks like every version. Oh. Ferris, you definitely need to watch this later if you've never seen it.
I like the Apple Pencil, but just for like drawing on the iPad. Like I don't really use it for like everyday use if I'm like, but like to draw, I find it helpful. Or if you do graphic design.
That Time magazine article.
Night Ferris.
Night, Ferris. It's good to see you, buddy. Your computer. That's his excuse. The Judy Jetson's Easy Bake Oven is
So good.
maybe one of the best lines ever.
Destroyed. And deserved it.
Yeah. This is the only time he puts off actually being out there on time, too.
Mm-hmm.
He's learning.
It's true.
No, it doesn't.
It
really
doesn't.
doesn't.
It really doesn't. Because he couldn't love you. Because he's got his own issues. So good. That is a
Backtrack.
yeah. Yep, 100% Buck. He's starting to see it. Rewatching this frustrates me. Fassbender didn't win the Oscar. Oh, this song that they choose.
Not only do I have thousands of songs in my pocket, it's also my phone. I can watch films on it, send messages. It's really a remarkable device. Well done, Steve.
Yeah, great job, Steve. Thank you. You've given us all an easier way to connect in life. At least two of us on this call. Don't want to point fingers or anything. It's so good.
And Wozniak walking back in.
Yeah. Yeah, I always thought it was interesting that like Woz comes back in and it's like the begrudging I need to be here because we're still in this together and you know this is where Steve was about to make everything change, man. Like he had to be there. It's so worth it to wait and to hear the name said right here.
That look.
I know.
Ugh.
That's so good. Oh man, I love the ending so much.
I know we're not saying much, but it's emotional.
I know.
And cathartic.
And there's people who say that ending's a cop out, and I'm never gonna understand that. I don't understand that even a little bit. Like, did you not want him to grow? Did you not want him to like actually
And by all accounts, he did. I mean, he salvaged
Yeah.
his relationship with his daughter.
Right. And again, to what the point that you said earlier when Sorkin was like, if this was a play, people would be much less quick to be upset and like complain about it. It's kind of a play in three acts, like just as a movie.
It
and
is.
that's
It
what
is
I've-
it is a play. I agree.
Yeah, it's 100%.
Of all of Sorkin's screenplays, this would be great on stage.
Yeah,
I
I'd love to see that.
I actually wonder if part of it is why he ended up doing Mockingbird, because it feels like he was writing one. Like, so then he was like, well, I've done it before. Because, I mean, obviously, A Few Good Men started on stage also. But it's so interesting.
Excuse me.
That
I sneezed.
Gazoon type, my friend.
Thank you.
But I hope everyone in the chat who had never seen this enjoyed it, or if you were revisiting it, you enjoyed it. I'm going to start with Jen. What were your thoughts revisiting the film?
It's a great film. We weren't talking much because we were just swept away. So we just started enjoying it towards the end. But yeah, it's still fantastic and still Oscar for Fassbender. So
That is the correct response, especially the Oscar for Fassbender part. Maxwell, what about you, man?
Yeah, like I said, I think it's a brilliant film. I could and did talk for hours about the writing conceit and structure of the film. I think is just next level brilliant, complemented by the remarkable performances, the score, Danny Boyle's direction. It's really it fires on all cylinders, and of course, The Social Network is a film that always gets talked about for good reason. The Social Network is masterful, but I would honestly say this and Moneyball, which we'll be watching on Monday, are in very close good company. Those three films, all penned by Sorkin around the same-ish time, are really all exceptional. So yeah, I love this movie. Every time I watch it, I get something new out of it. It's so detailed and well made. And again, I agree. Hashtag Oscar for Fassbender.
I think that all of us looking at this, that's what I always go back to is Oscar for Fassbender. That's just everything I think about. But I just get so swept away in the entire movie. I think it's such an interesting way to tell anyone's life story. You get everything you need to know about Steve in three very different times over three separate launches. Like, Sorkin's kind of a mad genius in a way to decide that was how he's going to tell it, which is why I'm still so curious about that I Love Lucy movie that he's supposed to be developing, about the behind the scenes of that show. So it just hits right, man.
And I don't want to use this as a trash on other things, but because again, I do like the Trial of the Chicago 7. I just think compared to this, it's interesting how much more straightforward in approach that was. Mm-hmm. I felt like it didn't take enough risks. And conversely to this, I think its ending is a little too pat. Whereas I feel this earns the ending and it makes sense with the journey we go on. But writers can make different choices that they see fit for each project.
well, Trial. I haven't seen Trial yet, but it's harder to approach something that's already so like socially charged. So like Steve
Sure.
Jobs, it's a biopic. You can pick a side and everything, but the other one already has a very strong conversation going on. So
And again, I think
Probably a little more
it's
conservative.
it's a good film. I enjoyed watching it. I recommend it. I'm not hating on it at all. It's just an interesting juxtaposition to real life events written by the same guy and such different approaches. And it also goes to show, I think, like you're saying, like the context matters for how you decide to approach it.
Absolutely. Well, with that, Maxwell, do we have anything going on that we can tell everyone before we get out of here?
Yeah, I'm not going to go over everything, just a couple things. We'll be back Sunday night for an unwind. It's going to be very casual. I have no idea what we're going to talk about, and that's half the fun. Monday night, our Sorkin continues with the watch-along of Moneyball. This was a pick by our executive producer, Brandon Buckingham, who will be joining us on screen for the watch-along. And due to rescheduling and this past Wednesday's catastrophic events in the Capitol, our Sunday soundtracks added to playlist, our favorite songs of all time, has been moved to this upcoming Wednesday with the same core group of lovely people, myself, PJ, Jen Kemp, who has been with us tonight, Tim Franco, host Chris Clark, and our special guest, Max Bartos, who you know if you watched our Sing Street Sunday soundtracks. He's a lovely young dude, professional actor. And I can't wait to see everyone's picks and talk about stuff we're passionate about and songs that we love.
And we did get a Streamlabs donation from Mike K.
Oh,
Mike
Mike.
said, I'll post my original review in the Facebook group after this, but yeah, this film is a masterpiece and only gets better after every rewatch, and I could not agree.
I 100% agree that every further watching pays more dividends. You notice just how sharp and detailed every aspect of it is. It's just really so beautifully constructed.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So,
All right, Jen, where can everyone find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at JK Meme Queen and just hanging out here. I don't have a lot going on right now.
Jay?
pretty much the same thing. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at PJ_Campbell. You can find me here hanging out with all of my favorite people talking about nerd shit, and that's always fun. And you can find me at the Movie Trivia Schmodown. Be nice to the writers. We're only human.
100%. Hashtag Team Writers. You can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at Cinemaxwell, Instagram at Cinemaxwell Inc. You can find me on the PJ Campbell Network most nights, and on Tuesday nights you can find me on Rachel Silvestrini's network, where we host Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist after show. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We will see you Sunday for the Unwind.
And this, I think, on Saturday. That's the patrons are going to hang out and play Mario Kart with us. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Forgive me. Saturday night, 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern, Mario Kart, being joined by some of our Twitch subs and patrons. That's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. So now I say, see you Sunday for the Unwind. Thank you for your support, and choose compassion and empathy in all walks of life.